Hello, hello. Welcome to the Mystic Path. I am going to apologize in advance for any loud noise you hear. I literally felt guided to do this reading, and it was really quiet, and I got everything ready and prepared. I got myself prepared, and got all the candles lit, smudged and everything, and then these big city trucks just showed up right outside the window, and they're like cutting trees down and grinding stumps. So I apologize for the noise. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Also, let's give a little bit of love and light to all the poor trees right now that are getting, some of them are just getting pruned, which will be healthy for them, but some of them are getting disappeared, if you know what I mean. Which is sad for Mother Gaia, Mother Earth. Anyway, okay, let's get started. So we have a full moon coming up in Libra. We're gonna do a quick little oracle reading for what we can do to heal during this time. This is a reminder, if this does not resonate with you, don't make it fit. Because I'm going to be talking about some specific things going on in this full moon and some work we could do to heal those things, and it might not apply to you, right? You may have already healed it, or you may not yet be ready to heal it. Anyway, you'll know if you feel called to do so, right? So, man, the trucks are getting louder. Okay, I'm going to try to talk a little bit louder. Hopefully it's not too distracting for you guys. Again, my apologies. Okay, so this full moon coming up is in Libra. It's a super moon and a worm moon. You're probably going to be, some people will be, in the collective, will be experiencing this feeling of being on the brink of something, feeling this promise of fulfillment of our goals and dreams that's right there, almost at the edge, right? Almost you're right there, about to step into your new future, I'm hearing. So some of you may be feeling that, maybe feeling this promise and this excitement under the surface that's wanting to bubble out, right? But it's just not quite yet time, that kind of feeling. And then some of you also may be feeling sadness, melancholy, kind of having a lot of nostalgia for some memories and things from your past. They may be coming up and making you feel oh, remember when I was in love with that person, or remember in the beginning of our relationship when things were the honeymoon stage, right? So this full moon is actually ripe for healing broken relationships, broken hearts, even just discontented relationships. Doesn't have to be a romantic partner, but that's kind of what's going on right now in the astrology. There's some Venus stuff happening, but it could be with a friend, it could be with a family member, but it could also be with your significant other. So just keep that in mind when I'm talking about this relationship stuff, that it doesn't have to be with your SO. It could apply to a friend or a family member or whatever. But you're going to be feeling like heightened emotions right now. Feelings of like romance, like I said, kind of thinking back on the past and romanticizing it and making it, you know, like, oh, remember when, whatever. Kind of that, don't get caught up in that like grass is greener though, right? Because every relationship's ebb and flow and has ups and downs, and you're closer sometimes, you're not others, right? So just keep that in mind. Because, you know, humans have a tendency, we think like we're going through a rough patch with somebody, and then we start thinking back to the beginning when everything was like new and fresh and wonderful, and then we start comparing and we start thinking, well, I don't feel like that anymore, maybe it's time to move on, you know. And I'm not saying it's not time to move on, I'm just saying, you know, we have to put those memories in perspective and, you know, kind of remember that like things aren't always gonna be like that, and that's because everybody's growing and changing, right? And there has to be adjustments made along the way. So like I said, you may be feeling heightened emotions, you may be feeling all romantical, you may also be experiencing some relationship drama, because this is a time where that can also be possible. But so bottom line is, during this full moon energies and for the next couple weeks, we're going to be feeling, actually our home, family, and intimate relationships are going to be like brought into focus, right? And we're going to start feeling called to strike a balance between like meeting our own personal needs and meeting the needs of our significant other, our friend, our partner, our family member, whatever. Okay. We're gonna start feeling this like internal, I don't want to say battle, but like internal tension, let's say, between like wanting to be real independent and then having this like need for others, right? Because we're humans, we need others, we need human contact at times. We need, you know, a hug, especially right now because we've been experiencing this pandemic for like a year now. So here, well, I was going to say here in the States, but it's actually everywhere in the world. So, you know, everybody hasn't been like hugging and touching and things as much as they used to. So, you know, we do have a need for that. We have a need for that kind of like affection and feeling loved by others, and right now that might be kind of heightened. But what's happening is we're supposed to learn how to balance between like our independence and our self-reliance and this need for affection and attention and interaction with others, right? This energy, this full moon in Libra is like calling us to find a balance between those two things. You know, it's kind of like we're also gonna be feeling this internal struggle inside around like what you need versus what you want. Okay, this energy right now is ripe for illuminating any conflict, so it makes it a good time to like heal broken hearts, heal broken relationships, resolve any conflict that's like outstanding in your life. But you're also gonna just want to know that like conflict is gonna kind of be illuminated for the next couple of weeks. So you're gonna want to try to like step back, step out of your emotions, and kind of observe things before you're really reacting to things, right? Don't get sucked into the conflict and keep it going because you're not stepping back and like analyzing and being conscious about the situation, right? The good thing about this energy, the Libra energy is very diplomatic and fair-minded, and so this is a good time. That's why it's a good time to resolve any conflict, right? But we are going to be feeling this need inside or not this need, but we're going to be feeling this tension inside probably around what you need versus what you want. Like, that's another thing that we're being called to balance. Like, because it's not healthy to just always go get what we want all the time and to indulge every single time, right? Like, that can get out of hand really quick. That's, I feel like, what happens to people with addiction, is that, you know, in the beginning you want it, and you kind of prioritize it, and you just focus on wanting it, so you keep doing it, and then unfortunately you become physically addicted to it, and then you actually need it, right? And so, like, which is not a good thing. That's not a good, healthy thing. So we're kind of being called to kind of look at ourselves and look at our relationships and see how we treat the other person, and how are we treating ourselves. Like, are you overindulging in things that are not healthy for you, that are creating toxic dynamics, or that are causing disharmony? Because the good news is, this energy is going to be illuminating that stuff. And of course, I know it's not fun to deal with conflict, and it's not, or crisis, but that's kind of what's going to be happening right now. So it's important for us to be conscious and stay aware so that we can see it coming, right? Instead of it catching us off guard, triggering us, and then pulling us into like a chaotic experience or lesson, it might be better to kind of, you know, zoom out, step outside yourself and your emotions, and kind of try to look at it like fairly and objectively. Like we were saying, Libra is about diplomacy and being fair. So if you can do that, then this is a really important time. You'll be able to see clearly any toxic dynamics, patterns, feelings, or behaviors that may be causing disharmony or chaos in your life. And this is a great time to like address those issues and start asking yourself why. Right? It's going to be really important right now to start trying to take these balanced, impartial looks at our relationships with ourselves, with others. How are you treating other people? How are you treating yourself? I know I just said that, but they're having me say it again, so that obviously means it's like very important, you know. And you don't want to get sucked in to like old conflicts and old toxic patterns or stories, because you're not making the effort to zoom out and kind of look impartially at everything. I do want to mention, the next couple weeks you might be really feeling a little bit of energy drain, and that's because dealing with conflict, chaos, even if you're not in the center of the storm of the chaos, even if you're zoomed out watching it, it is still very draining, right? So even if you're like on the sidelines and it's happening to a friend and they're leaning on you, right, it's still draining. Even though it's not your drama, it's still draining to help somebody with their own drama, right? So again, that's why we're being called to balance. Like, is it my job to help this person, to fix this person, to guide this person? Or can I balance out like what's healthy? Because of course, when you're in friendships and relationships, you have to help the other person. I mean, you have to, when they ask you for advice, or if you see them spinning out of control, you have to have those conversations. But again, that can be unhealthy as well. Helping too much, getting too involved in somebody else's drama. Okay, so just think about that. Like, again, this full moon is just about kind of giving us the opportunity to think about those things and to heal those things. Another lesson right now that's kind of going to be illuminated, brought to the forefront, is learning to cope, to be alone. Like, and understanding there is a good, or there is a difference between being alone and being lonely, right? And so that's another thing, like we have to kind of evaluate our relationships. Are any of them codependent? Do you have somebody that's a little codependent on you, or are you a little codependent on them? Like that, that also can be toxic and unhealthy and very draining, right? So this is a good time for us to start understanding that I'm somebody who learned early in my youth, like in my 20s, how empowering and healthy and healing alone time could be, and I got addicted to it, right? So I'm somebody who loves alone time, and I don't ever really feel like alone, lonely, sorry. I don't ever really feel like, God, I'm here all by myself, I'm lonely, I need to hang out with somebody, and that's partially because I've done a ton of work on myself over the years through therapy and cards and my own stuff, right? Energy healing, all kinds of things. And now I really like myself, even my shadow parts, even my worst qualities. I've learned to love and embrace them. And listen, it takes time, trust me, and I still falter, believe you me, where I have self-doubt and things like that. But for the most part, I have healed a lot of that stuff. So I don't feel lonely when I'm alone because I like being with myself. I can go garden, I can paint or draw, I can do cards, whatever your hobby, those are just a few of my hobbies. Reading, I love to read, so I enjoy doing those things alone because it feeds my soul. It gives me kind of a recharge so that then I can go out and be my best self for other people, right? So I can show up for others when the time comes. But it wasn't always this way. There were times when I would be by myself and be like, man, I'm so lonely. I want to hang out with somebody. I feel like nobody loves me. So just keep in mind, and maybe if you're one of those people that has trouble hanging out alone and wants somebody constantly there, maybe, you might be called during this time to start doing some work around that and to start kind of understanding that you can be alone and be very happy and fulfilled and content, and not be lonely, right? And that's kind of when you're healthy and you've healed a lot of your traumas and your baggage, you start to realize alone time can be very addicting and empowering because it gives you a chance to kind of reflect on your life, reflect on your behaviors, reflect on, your thoughts, your beliefs. It gives you time to get to know yourself on a deep level. And then that's how you start to love yourself, and the things you don't like, the things I found about myself that I didn't like, then that spurred me to start working on those things so that I would like myself, right? So they're telling me to wrap it up here, okay? So basically this, to get through these next couple weeks, it's going to be very important to use your intuition and your strength in yourself to guide you. You may also be having some vivid dreams, and you may be getting messages in your dreams, okay? Pay attention to those messages. And I'm also feeling called to tell you that during any of this work, when you're feeling I get a lot of people ask me all the time, well, how? Well, why? I don't understand. How do I do this work? Basically, it's just sitting with yourself and getting a journal and asking yourself the right questions. And I know not everybody can journal and all of that, but I know some people who will just take their iPad or their phone and record themselves talking about whatever it is they're feeling. Then they watch it back, and then that gives them a little bit of insight into, it's kind of the same thing as journaling. You can talk into a mirror, talk to yourself, ask yourself questions, and sometimes the answers you get are you don't like. you know, when you start facing yourself. And that's when you have to start like asking yourself the hard questions. Is this who I want to be? Is this how I want to handle relationships with other people? You know, and then you start slowly working on those things. Okay? So we're gonna get going here, but I pulled from the Moonology deck. I pulled the full moon in Libra card, and here it is. Hopefully you can see that. There's a light over here. So and I'm gonna read what it says, and we'll see how close my messages were, right? And this will just give you a little bit more guidance, and then we're gonna pull a healing card on like some action items you can do to help like heal these kinds of issues when they come up, right? Okay, so this says a full moon in Libra, a win-win outcome is forecast. Okay, and the book says the full moon in Libra, the sign of partnership, of falling in love, and of closely relating to someone else. Since full moons are about climaxes and conclusions, this card suggests you're either about to start a new relationship or that an important existing relationship is changing somehow. Perhaps coming to an end or moving into a new level of commitment. It's important to remember that people come to us for a reason, and sometimes just for a season. If a relationship is ending now, it's doing so at the right time, so try not to fight it. This card can also refer to a professional relationship, friendship, family relationship, etc. Like I said earlier, not just romance. Could be romance, but could also be something else. There's a sense that you need to balance your ego with someone else's needs. A win-win outcome is possible with give and take. Doing so might be the answer to your question. So the mantra here is let go of that which is falling away. And it also suggests try to see the other person through the eyes of love and change your perspective. It also says look after yourself, but avoid vanity. It is time for you to focus on yourself for a while. And then the teaching here is this card encourages you to find a balance between your desires and those of the people around you. Balance is a very Librian energy, and the full moon brings things to a peak. Dramas and upset bring partnerships to the forefront. Libra energy also brings love energy and negotiations. All right, so I touched on a lot of that in my messages, but you know, I love this Moonology deck. And so I always like to see what that card says, right? For whatever particular energy we're in. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna pull, well, we're gonna see what the universe wants to give us from this Whispers of Healings Oracle deck, and we'll see if there's any action item here we can do during the next couple of weeks to kind of get the most out of this full moon, right? All right. What do the viewers watching need to know? What do they need to do to help them get through these next 2 weeks? we have learning and answers within. Hopefully you can see them okay. Let's start with answers within. Don't look externally for the source of your problems. When you feel triggered or distressed, look within. You may have been conditioned to place blame on others or on your circumstances. Realize there is no one against you. No one is looking to hurt you. Dissect what is going on for you. What is it that you are really feeling? Break out of limiting patterns. As you overcome the cause, you will diminish the effects. Create a space each day where you can take an emotional inventory. Find a place to sit quietly and relax your mind. Ask yourself questions. Take notes of any new insights that emerge during this process. Examining yourself and your role in a situation will help you become more self-aware. Soul searching and listening to a trusted friend can lead you to your best answer. You will recognize the right answer for you as it will feel uplifting. You might be able to see a positive solution for all involved. You will feel inspired or comforted as you listen to your own wisdom. A fairy rides in a rose high above a landscape. She holds a candle that represents the four main archangels: Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, and Uriel. The candle reflects the light glowing in your soul. Green is connected to health, wellness, and happiness. The sweet smell of the rose induces a feeling of calm. The fairy's beautiful wings lend emphasis to the freedom of your soul. You can rise above this situation and transform as you do so. All things are constantly moving, developing, and changing. Trust the cycle of change you are currently in as you emerge with more awareness. All right, and the next card we got, it's funny, both of these cards are like really touching on everything we've kind of already talked about. So it's good. And I like that this deck, this healing deck, gives you like action items. And for this action item, it was like journal, which we already kind of talked about, right? So let's see for learning what we have here. As humans, we are perpetually learning and growing. Learning to handle emotions comes from attentiveness. Managing stress, anxiety, and anger is a learned skill. Understand what sets off your distress or anger. Choose how you will respond to your triggers more effectively. Persist with this approach until it becomes an automatic response. You may feel you are resistant to learning the lesson at hand. The reasons for resistance vary. It may be stubbornness, habit, or self-destructive patterns. During times of conflict, your lesson may be more crisis-oriented. You may be in denial about something in your life. It can be hard to face your fears and admit weakness. Issues may build to a point where you need to address your reactions. Be honest with yourself. Are you in an addictive cycle? Are you accepting responsibility for your role in this situation? You may need an outside source to help you break out of a pattern. Once you recognize an unhealthy pattern, you can learn how to improve your existing situation. Try new approaches and be open to not knowing what will happen next. Ask to learn this lesson with grace. A child holds a single stalk of wheat with a ladybug on it. Wheat denotes the use of caution and wisdom. The child studies the ladybug to learn what she is going to do. The ladybug represents delight and a knowing that cannot be taught. Can you remember how you were as a child? Children are often able to create exactly what they want through positive thinking, resourcefulness, and persistence. Throughout your life, you have learned to doubt and fear. Be like a child, willing to learn and in awe of the world around you. The butterflies in this picture are symbols of transformation. If you are willing to work on this situation, transformation is inevitable. The prevalence of green in this card means healing and abundance are not far from you. Okay, we're going to leave it there. With that, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, evening, week, weekend, month, whatever it is for you. And I'm sending you all love and light. Thank you for watching. If you find my videos helpful, please like, share, and subscribe so that we can start growing the channel and getting the messages out there. Namaste.